Hello, Internet, and welcome to Coy Cubed. It is a Tuesday. It is a time to be alive. Today we've got a bunch of news, including Warner Brothers moving all sorts of release dates, which is going to cause a giant trickle down to other studios. We also had Jurassic World's just announced they were moving their third installment in the Jurassic World franchise. We've also got some cool Deadpool rumors. I usually talk about getting some steam, which might mean we get an official announcement soon, but keep in mind, all of my theories are just rumors and just that. We've also got Robert Downey Jr. saying he wants a Sherlockverse, and again, I usually am not one to smile upon this everything should get a shared universe concept, but the one he is espousing does intrigue me, so we're going to talk about that as well. And we are going to be talking about the fact that AMC is staying open amidst a bunch of other theater chains having to shut down, as well as a new James McAvoy film, which sounds super interesting. Dave Chappelle and Robert Downey Jr. appearing on the great David Letterman's show for season 3, and a bunch of other stuff. So it is a pretty good-sized news day. Once again, we have split Coy Cubed into twice a week. It is now just shy of an hour or thereabouts, and it is going to be on Tuesdays and Fridays. That is the new format. On Tuesdays, I give you comic books I recommend you pick up tomorrow, and on Fridays, hopefully I've caught up and read them all and tell you which ones I enjoyed most that week, as well as all the news that's fit to print, or whatever the video version of printing is, because this is digital, we're not printing on film, so fit to speak. Guys, it has been quite the week. I'm going to avoid any and all politics on today's show for my own self-preservation and sanity. If you follow me on any of the social media, you have seen my opinions and you will continue to see them there, but I want to keep Coy Cubed to the world of make-believe today, because the world of actual tangible is lots and lots of garbage. So let's kick it off with the news that, Batman is moving to 2022. Now that number does sound like science fiction, but it is a mere 2 years away. It is actually a mere year and a half away if you look at it for the summer that we're aiming for the Batman. It is now no longer an October release. It is getting a March release. Now this is really interesting for a bunch of reasons. One, because we've thought or assumed or even heard rumors that this was a long Halloween, Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb flavored joint. So we were thinking that was going to be a really cool way to have this get an October release. Unfortunately, it is getting, well, not unfortunately, because I want this movie ASAP, it is getting a March release, which means it is likely to kick off the summer. Now, people keep saying, why are they delaying movies to 2022 if they're going to be filmed in time? We're going to talk about Shazam 2 here in a moment. The problem is movies that were due out in 2020 need to have a place to land on the schedule. So if something was due out in 2021, it makes sense it might move to 2022. Something was due out in 2020, it's got to land somewhere theatrically. It is not easy to make your money back on VOD. It is nigh impossible. Bootlegging is immediate. You're not going to have as many individual ticket sales. It is hard to quantify because it is the new thing. So movie theaters, for one, my bias, wanting everybody to see things in theaters because I think that is the true experience, but also the actual monetization of it. And I know you're thinking, well, everything's not about money. It is a business. It is show business. If you put $200 million into a movie, it is very hard to make that back. Now, Tenet, which was the first big thing to reopen the theaters, has just crossed $300 million worldwide. It likely would have made $300 million domestic by the end of its run. Maybe not necessarily, maybe not definitely, but it probably would have made $300 million domestic. It is limping along at $300 million worldwide, and that is actually decent considering the restrictions on number of seats, the amount of theaters that are open, LA and New York not having theaters. It's not great for cinema. It's not great for movies or theatrical exhibition. So $300 million is where that's landed. It's likely not to make that much more. It's been out for a while. It needs to make $500 million to break even. With distribution, advertising, and production costs, $500 million is not a little bit of money. So will it make $200 million more in home video? Unlikely, and that is what we're looking at with these big movies. So that is why movies are carving out 2022 release dates, and further, you need to shift everything. If one movie moves, you got to move everything. And also, I've seen a lot of people complaining, why don't they just say, like what release date? Like, why don't they just say TBD? These giant tentpoles carve out their corner. You've got 3 or 4 week windows where these big movies need to be, and with everything moving, you want to claim your spot. So for years, they've been claiming spots out years in advance. Now, with everything moving, you need to carve out your spot whatever year is coming. And if they just said TBD but actually had a spot, then someone would leak it, and then that'd be a news story. So you might as well just carve them out. So I see the merit in saying when these things are getting released. I see why they're doing it, but it is shitty to feel like we're not going to have a new movie for a while, and that does seem to be the case, except for Free Guy, which does still have a December release date. We will see. That said, Warner Brothers has announced The Batman is moving from October 1st, 2021 to March 4, 2022. The Matrix 4 actually moved up a bit from April 1st, 2022 back to December 22nd, 2021. So The Matrix is back to a 2021 release date, which is exciting. The end of 2021, but still. The Flash moved from June 3rd, 2022 to November 4th, 2022. If you told me The Flash was moving to late 2022, I would say it's not going to happen. But with all of our updates, the previs, the script, the fandom stuff, I do actually think this movie, which ironically follows the very tried and true tradition of the character, Barry Allen always shows up late, even though he's the fastest man alive. This movie is showing up very late, but I think it's going to be good. We've also got Shazam 2 moving from November 4th, 2022 to June 2nd, 2023. That means it's going to be a 4-year gap between the first and second movie, and there was a joke made by David F. Sandberg, who is a goddamn genius. He's very funny, he's very nice, and he's also a very talented director. He said they don't need to have fake beards. The kids can have beards by the time they film this in 2020. The joke was, yes, they realize kids are going through puberty and they're going to change age rapidly, but they're filming it as planned. It's just getting released later. So the kids are going to look fine. I think they should film Shazam 2 and 3 back-to-back so they can keep the cast. I don't know if they're actually going to do that. I don't know if that's even been discussed. But Shazam 2 is being filmed when it was planned. It's just getting released later, again, because of the shifting of schedules. So 2023 summer is Shazam 2. I love Shazam 1. I'm hoping there's retention with that audience. I think people are going to be starving for content for quite some time, so I think it's going to do well. And it's going to be insane to see all these movies back-to-back once we're safe to get back to the theater. Also, speaking of Shazam, Black Adam has moved from December 22nd, 2021, the Christmas release, to an undated time. Again, I was talking about how some films could just go undated. As soon as this gets carved out, it's going to get announced. I get why they're setting dates for these. They need to have it, but it is interesting to see Black Adam just get a we'll see when it comes out. So Black Adam, as of now, does not have a release date. And Jurassic World was just moved from next summer to the following as well. So Jurassic World 3, I haven't seen Jurassic World 2 yet. I was really bummed out Jurassic World 1. But Jurassic World 3 is coming out the following year, which gives me an entire year longer to see Jurassic World 2. I'm obviously bummed about all this. On a shorter scale, Dune has moved, by the way. Dune is now coming out in December of 2021, so it moved a full year as well. So Dune is no longer coming out this winter. It's coming out the following winter. So as it stands now, one of the only large releases just released a new trailer, Free Guy, which looks very funny. I'm a big Ryan Reynolds fan. We'll get to Deadpool in a moment. But Free Guy is still slotted to come out in December of 2021. So there is hope for something this upcoming fall-winter, and a lot of theaters are adjusting accordingly. We'll talk about AMC in just a moment. I'm going to check over on the Streamlabs. I saw something pop up there from the great Michael McCarcel. Michael McCarcel in the Streamlabs has this to say. As sad as I am for all the movies getting pushed, I just want the studios to play it smart and wait until things are safer to release these movies. Trying to get things back up too early puts people at risk. Could not have said it better myself. That is what I was alluding to throughout the positive, negative about all of these things shifting. Michael, I totally agree. We saw what happened when we opened things too early. We see what happens when people wander in and out of rooms and spread this like the plague that it is. And I think movie theaters would not bode well to have wide releases happening right now. I don't love that theaters are having to be open to keep their businesses alive. I wish there was some way to keep them safe and closed and for employees to be compensated, but that is not the country we live in. So it is a tricky rock and a hard place situation with these movies. I get both sides. I personally am a team cinema, team hold everything back. I get why you might not be, but I agree with Michael. I would rather hold them back than just launch them out at us when it's not quite safe yet. Also, smack talking about the news. Always appreciate Smack Talk's names and the evolution in them. This one has a Z in it, which I appreciate very much. Smack Talking About the News says, in a year that sees us explore newly excavated depths of hell on a daily basis, this kind of optimistic escapism is much appreciated. Thanks, Coy. A year of newly excavated depths of hell on a daily basis is exactly how I have felt all week. I'm going to try very much. This is my public persona. The show, it might not be in a studio, it might not be Collider Heroes, it might not be me working on a red carpet, it might not be me at a junket, but this is still very much me wanting to deliver my public persona of optimism unto you. If you want my more aggressive takes, social media is for that, but I do appreciate that you appreciate that I am trying to bring the positivity here. That is still what I want. I want all of you to have a place to escape. It is a dark, fucked up world. And here, I hope there is some solace and happiness. So thank you very much, Smack Talk. That is the plan. That is the goal of this show. There is a lot of reasons for the good and bad, and I'm trying to shine a light on the good. And speaking of good, thank you again. Speaking of good, AMC is able to stay open throughout all of this chaos. AMC officially announced yesterday they are staying open through the holidays. They have no intention of closing down. We found out earlier in the week that Regal was closing its doors and a bunch of movie theaters would be shut down for the foreseeable future. They don't really have an open date set. They're just closing down some as soon as Monday. AMC, on the other hand, has October release dates for special screenings of like Hocus Pocus and stuff. November, they're holding out to see what's still going to be a wide release open. And then December, they will be open for the movies that do remain on their December 2020 release dates, like Fall Guy. So AMC officially is staying open, and that also means Cinemark is staying open. Cinemark is the theater I went to see Tenet. We rented out the whole thing. It was shockingly inexpensive for the whole theater because they're trying to make any money they can. Way I see it is they're staying open to have any dollars they can, and they're probably able to write off the employees' wages as some sort of tax break to be open. So I think any profit is like, we made $15 in movie ticket sales today, that's $15 more. And I'm sure there's some creative tax madness to have those be open. But it looks like we are going to be keeping the AMCs and the Cinemarks open, which means I'm going to try to give them my money as much as possible. They do $50 for old movies, $100 for some old movies for the entire cinema, and then $150 for new release movies. So if you have your friends all get tested together, or within a day, self-quarantine, get your results back, stay self-quarantine, rent out the theater, and it feels great, it's safe. I'm likely going to do that for Free Guy if it's an option. I might do that for like a Halloween movie if there's like a $50 Halloween movie. 5 friends, that's $10 each. That's cheaper than a regular movie, and I'm helping keep the movie theaters open. That is my own personal goal with these things. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to get tested. I'm going to only do it with trusted friends that I know got tested and weren't lying about it. And then I'm going to go to the theater very carefully wearing a mask, and then I can enjoy the cinematic experience. That is how I'll be playing it. So we will see. Time will tell. AMC and Cinemark, I hope this all works out. I'm very glad you're staying open. It's no secret my mom works at AMC, so I'm very glad my mom has work. It is a really trying time for this country, so anyone that still has basically the opportunity to be working and can safely, it makes me very, very happy. Oh, my mom with the inside scoop. Mom, I'm sharing this. I hope that's okay. You tell me if it's okay or not. First, I'm going to share this. We got a Streamlabs from the great Jesus Gastelum saying, hello, Coy. Would like to see movies in the theater when it's actually safe, but I'm hoping with the new Deadpool news that we get a new video game, animated series, etc. Oh, we're going to talk about that, Jesus. I appreciate the Streamlab, and that is actually one of the things I was thinking as well. I'm very excited to dive into what that might be. Also, tons of regulars in the chat. We got Michael Parcel in the chat. We got Ian Roth. We got the great Smack Talk. We got Zach Mendoza. We got Catherine Smith. We got Jake Yakavetta. These are the OGs of the Koi Pond here. NK Songbird, a lot of my favorite people on the internet. Vanko, hell yeah. So I want to show love to the Koi Pond being strong, and of course my mom in here. And she said it was safe to stare. I was ranting a bit to make sure it was safe. And it seems AMC will be announcing a similar private screening very soon. It is safe to share that. That is very exciting because AMC, though closed in LA, are more widespread. There are a lot of AMCs. It is this nation's biggest theatrical chain. So all of those AMCs, if you have one near you that is still open, that is exciting news for the safety of you and those you care about. Private screenings is good news. Alamo is doing something similar. Alamo's closed in LA, just like every other theater, but theirs is $150 to reserve it and then $150 minimum food purchase. So it's really a $300 rental. If you've got that kind of cheddar, go for it. I'm jealous. I'd like $300. But if you've got that, Alamo's another great option. Do whatever's safest for you. Also, drive-ins, look for your local drive-ins, see what's safe there. But AMC joining in is very exciting news because AMC is the big ones. That sets a great precedent for any theaters that are still open. this is very exciting. Mom, thank you for sharing that. I'm stoked. Hopefully it gets to be safe enough in LA to have theaters open, because there's a number of AMCs near me, and I would happily have an entire theater because that's the safest way to do it, and they could use the patronage so they don't close down forever. So very, very hopeful, very, very excited. We will see. We will see. Okay, over to more news past the AMC goodness. You know what? Let's talk about Deadpool. It came up. Let's talk about Deadpool. Okay, there was a time a few months ago when my name was everywhere because I said something that I knew to be as true as was safe to report for a while, and then a bunch of places picked it up, and like I was a person, I'm very closely associated with my boy. So people were running stories, some of them credible, some less credible, and at the time, that's what I heard was going on. Those talks fell apart. Now I'm hearing new talks. So I did not talk about Deadpool for quite some time because a lot of the rumors were bullshit. These rumors seem to have a lot more weight behind them than a lot of the other ones, and I think what we're going to find out soon, this is my theory, this is not me leaking anything, this is not me speaking out of school, this is not confirmed by anyone, I did not talk to Kevin Feige. I think we're going to hear a giant announcement with Ryan Reynolds getting a lot more creative control. It's going to be a bigger number than Disney is usually comfortable doing, and I think what it's going to be is multiple platforms. I think that we're not going to get the animated Deadpool show that I wanted from Donald Glover, but what we might get is a more widespread entertainment presence from Deadpool. I don't know if that looks like a TV show. I don't know if that looks like a video game, but I do know we're going to get at least one more. I don't know. I do think we're going to get at least one more movie and then an X-Force movie. I think we're going to keep the R rating, especially after the success of Joker. I think we can keep it separate. I think if we get a Deadpool show, it might land on Hulu. They're doing a really good job separating their Hulu and their Disney Plus. And I think we'll have the opportunity to really show that Disney isn't just kid stuff if they do this right. There's a new show on Disney Plus called The Right Stuff, and it's a little bit more adult-oriented. It's about the most adult show on Disney Plus to date, and it seems to be doing well with critics. So if the ratings are good, we might be able to steer a little bit. It's not like sexual or drugs or anything like that, but it's not a kid show on Disney Plus, so we might be able to steer things a little bit more in that direction. Deadpool is a very, very, very profitable character. Ryan Reynolds clearly knows the character, but I think the issue is he wants more creative control than Disney usually gives. Not to speak out of turn about Disney, but Disney likes to shape their things huge. They plan out entire phases. They plan out 10 movies at a time. Now they're planning out 10 movies and shows at a time. So you need a cohesive flavor in order for that to feel like it's one unit, but you also need it to be diverse enough to feel like you're not watching the same movie. And that is a very tricky line to walk. That's why most cinematic universes have failed. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But most cinematic universes don't work because they either feel too the same or too different. You need to somehow have space operas like Guardians and espionage films like Winter Soldier go back to back, but then when you have Endgames and Infinity Wars, not feel weird when you mash them together. Deadpool is arguably the hardest one of those because he's, in my opinion, needs to be an R-rated character. If you make him PG-13, he's just a weirdly neutered version of the character, which we've already experienced in X-Men Origins Wolverine. He's not necessarily Spider-Man, but he's closer to Spider-Man that way, and I think we need to focus on getting an MCU Spider-Man to be more of Spider-Man than he is because he's Iron Man-like in a lot of ways. Anyway, that's an entire dissertation. We could do a whole episode on that. What I'm speaking to is I think there's going to be more creative control, more financial bandwidth behind Deadpool, and I think we're going to get an announcement in the next month, and I think Ryan Reynolds is going to be a lot more in control of the character than a lot of other creators. So I'm very excited. I know we got writing credit on Deadpool 2. I think it's going to evolve even further with Deadpool 3 and X-Force, which I do hope we still get. I personally would love if Deadpool 3 is a little smaller and X-Force is the big movie. I'd love to see Deadpool 3 mirror Deadpool 1 a little bit more, so maybe we'll get that. Maybe we'll get the creative control by having the budget be a little less. I would love to see the budget on Deadpool 3 be smaller than Deadpool 2 and thereby give it more creative control because maybe Disney wants to save some money, do a smaller film. Either way, I'm very hopeful for a announcement with Ryan Reynolds being involved. He's certainly not an older gentleman, but you don't stay able to get an 8-pack in a 6-month window forever, as I struggle with my quarantine 19. But it's just a fact of life. There is an age when you age out of these characters. And yes, he's in a suit, but yes, those moments are also necessary, and you want him to be able to do as much as he can as the character. And the miming of Deadpool is a huge part of the comedy. A lot of people don't give credit to how much actual Chaplin-esque miming there is to the character. If you turn off Deadpool, turn off the sound of Deadpool, and watch his movements, it's almost just as funny. And then the comedy of the jokes that are verbal are just an additive. He does so much with so little, the expressive eyes, all those things. I really want a Deadpool movie. I really think Disney might be coming close to a real thing, and I really think Ryan's going to be deeply involved. I'd love a show in addition to a movie. Time will tell. I think he's a character that could do both, and I'd love to see an entire wave of Deadpool goodness. I don't think they should introduce the X-Men through Deadpool. I think they should end the last wave of stuff and also start a new wave of stuff through Deadpool. I've talked about Deadpool kills the Fox universe many times, including with Rob on an interview I did with Rob. But I think if you get rid of the Chris Evans Human Torch, the Michael B. Jordan Human Torch, the Ben Affleck Daredevil, if you eliminate that universe via Deadpool kills the Fox universe, and then introduce a new wave of him integrating into Marvel, in Bruce New Groove, pausing and diving in. He's already referenced both McAvoy and Patrick Stewart. He can be self-aware of integrating himself into a new universe, and that'd be a lot of fun. And he's also got a time turner thing. You can do so much. It's right there. So we will see. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I really, really hope this will be announced very, very soon. All right. Vanko has this to say. I don't think it would be Origins level if you see him on cartoon appearance. I low-key think the jokes he makes are more creative than some of his live-action movie jokes because of the rating. I think creativity is relative. I just think the style of humor is more geared towards R-rated. I think that the montage of him loving his wife or girlfriend turned wife was something that could never exist in PG-13, the pegging alone. But that whole love scene is Deadpool's humor, and you couldn't do that PG-13. And that to me is more important than the Tarantino violence or, four-letter words or any of those things. It's the content, not necessarily the style of joke. So I personally like him better live action than animated. I personally like his more R-rated sensibilities. The comics are tricky because Spider-Man, when he teams up with them, can't even hold a beer. There's a lot of rules in comic books, but they're generally the Jerry Duggan stuff. When that's R-rated, it's generally more my cup of tea. I think that's the character, but that's just me, and that's my take. So if you like both, I'm jealous because I would very much appreciate enjoying a PG-13 Deadpool more. But for me, he's a very R-rated character, and I think that's when he gets to be more unique. The more he separates himself from other wisecracking comic book characters, the better. So for me, he's an R-rated character. We will see. All right. My mom said it looks like it's going to be private screenings for up to 20 guests, getting all them hot takes, all them inside scoops. That's exciting as fuck. And we want to test all 20 of those people. Don't trust people right now. It's not safe. All right. Yeah, the rules in comics are crazy, aren't they? All right, let's see. We've covered Deadpool. We've covered AMC. We've covered release dates. We've talked about Shazam 2. Let's talk about Robert Downey. Sip of water. Jr. Robert Downey Jr. wants to make a Sherlockverse out of his Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes films. Now, usually I am very averse to a shared cinematic universe. I think it's very dangerous. I think it sets a very tricky precedent. We saw that went for the Monsterverse at Universal. Didn't work out so great. But I do like what he and his wife, Susan Downey, they're producing partners. They are fantastic at working together. They've produced a lot of great things together. And I think this will be the most commercially viable of the things they've produced. They've produced things that had tricky track records, and now on TV they're having a lot more success. So applying some of that to a movie universe, I think would be really interesting. They had this to say, quote, doing a one-off third movie we could do, but we do think there's opportunity to build it out more, to spin off some characters from the third movie, to see what's going on in the television landscape, to see how Warner Media is starting to build things out with HBO and HBO Max. We definitely have kind of grand schemes and plans and all that, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of coordination because, again, Marvel wasn't built in a day. It took several wins and things that worked very well to then be able to connect them, to then be able to branch out. So you can't just go like Sherlock Holmes is making a lot of money. I assume this character will. That's not how that works. This needs to do well. This character needs to do well. This character needs to do well. Then maybe you connect them. Other shared universes have tried to just do this and this without seeing how they land, and it failed. Enola Holmes doing as well as it did, though it's not connected, is a good sign that this might work. And there are a lot of characters in a Sherlock Holmes storytelling. The great power of those stories is that all the characters are more interesting than just the one. But I could easily see it going the other way and spreading itself too thin. They have this to say, following up. At this point, we really feel like there's not a mystery verse built out anywhere. and Conan Doyle is the definitive voice in that arena to this day. So to me, why do a third movie if you're not going to be able to spin off into some real gems of diversity and other times and elements? We're not repeaters. We don't want to just try what's been done somewhere else, but I think the model itself has become much more dimensionalized than it was before. I agree. People want more shared content. People want more blend of TV and film. I think by the time movies come out in 2022, there will be some in 2021. I'm saying by the time we get to 2022, it might be measuring box office by VOD and movie theater combined. I could see a box office being opening weekend and that being what's streaming and what's in the theater. I'm afraid we're going to have releases go both ways because of Trolls and other movies that have released simultaneously. Bill and Ted's doing way better at home than it's doing in theaters because theaters aren't safe yet. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see if movie theaters start calling their box office both things, and I could see that happening, and that'd be another good reason to make things on TV. It's all going to tie together. And Marvel's already ahead of the curve with WandaVision, which is going to be essential to watch in order to get some of the movies and vice versa. You're going to have content spread across all things. The line between cinema and TV is going to blur even more in the next 5 years, and COVID just accelerated that. So I think this is really smart. I think Arthur Conan Doyle is the definitive voice. They've got a point. I think Holmes, the name, sells very well, and I think this is a very smart, marketable choice for the Downeys to invest in. So I'm intrigued. Guy Ritchie, it was announced last week, and it was my favorite news of last week, is doing The Gentleman TV show. So Guy Ritchie being on TV, maybe this is an early look at like what is possible in the TV landscape with this style of content. Guy Ritchie doing TV is something I never thought would happen. So this is potentially a bigger, broader universe with Guy Ritchie's Sherlock involving Downey. He's not going to be in the show. I imagine they'd probably start playing with new characters on the shows and the movies and whatnot. But it's very intriguing. So tell me, good live chat, do you have any interest in a Sherlockverse? I don't even know what to call it. A Holmesverse? No, I like Sherlockverse better. Let me know if you guys are interested in a Downey Jr. Sherlockverse over on streaming as well as in theaters. Do you want an HBO Max crossover to theatrical? Does that intrigue you? Okay, over to more bits of news. Resident Evil, one of the only video game movies that I find enjoyable, one of the exceptions to the rule. I really think the first two Resident Evils hold up, and then the rest are very hit or miss. But the first two I enjoy quite a bit. I haven't revisited them in a while, and I'm afraid to, because sometimes that's when it falls apart. But I think rather highly of the Resident Evils and their soundtracks. Resident Evil is getting a reboot, and they're going to be tied more directly into the video game. So the characters from the games are going to be in the movies as opposed to them just using the concepts and then going crazy. And they've announced some of the cast. Robbie Amell, who's a friend of mine, who's a great dude, who's very good on he's got his own produced movies that he's done really well with his cousin Steven. He's got his own little corners of the CW verse that he's expanded out into. He's just a fantastic dude, and I think he's going to do very well in this universe because he's make-believe looking. He's too handsome. I don't know how to say her last name. Kaya Scodelario, who you know her work. She was just in that Crocodile horror movie. She's in a lot of stuff. She's in not the Divergent series, the Maze Runner series. She's talented. I'd like to see more of her. It was also in the Resident Evil reboot. And Tom Hopper of Black Sails and Umbrella Academy, amongst others, are all in this Resident Evil reboot, which is set to follow the video game a lot more. Now, this worries me because Resident Evil is one of the few that's done it right, but also I'd like to see them do the things they did right, but follow the game. Because I used to love the games. So if they can take the best of the movies and the best of the games and make a quality bit of new content, I really want video game movies to start doing better. I don't personally game all that much, but I want that niche to have their glorious golden age. There's so many bad video game movies. I would love to see gamers get their time in the sun. So just for the sake of the Venn diagram of comic nerds and video game nerds, and just because I want people to be happy, please start making video game movies of quality. This could be an opportunity. We'll see what happens, but it was announced this week. I got excited with my gamer friends. Time will tell. In other very, very surprising, strange news, they're making a remake of a French film called My Son. I guess it would be, what's My Son in French? Mon Garçon? Maybe? I don't know. It's a French film called My Son, because the American film's called My Son. James McAvoy is going to be in it, and this is news. James McAvoy is a new film. I bring it up because it's completely unlike anything I've ever heard of. He won't know the plot. Well, he'll know the loose plot. He won't have any sides. And it's a detective story that he'll be improvising, actually figuring out as he goes along. So this is like mystery theater or one of those, escape rooms, but with an actor on camera solving a mystery. So he's actually going to be Batmaning his way through a movie, and it's a detective story that we'll get to see an actor improv his way through. This sounds so cool. This is such a different take on filmmaking. So I'm really intrigued by what this even looks like. How do you edit something like that? How do you give him just enough information to solve the mystery without being boring, but also not get too much away? James McAvoy is an incredible actor. He's such a smart, capable actor. So if anyone's going to do this, I could definitely see it being him. He's super versatile. I really want this to go well. I'd love to see more things like this. Detective improv, my son, James McAvoy, all of the intrigue. That's like nothing I've ever heard of before. So I'm very much in. The original is a French film that came out in 2018, did very well with the festival circuit. Cool. I'm excited. Time will tell. All right, in a bit of news that is just exciting potentially for me, but it's exciting for me, so I wanted to include it. The David Letterman's newest talk show is going into its season 3. I'm a big fan of talk shows. It's what I want to do. It's where I want to land. I am doing all of this with the means and goals and purposes of landing on The Tonight Show or something that's ilk. That's what I want to do for a living. My career, want to land there. David Letterman has been a fixture and a genre redefiner, which is not a word. It's a bad commercial of me being a talk show host. He's redefined the genre of talk show hosts for years. And he's done that again with his newest show, which is My Guest Needs No Introduction. And I love the guests he gets. I love the format of the show. I love how laid back it is. I love that David Letterman is out of fucks and has been for decades. This show is now getting two of my favorite people in entertainment in its 3rd season. It is getting Robert Downey Jr. and Dave Chappelle, two people that don't often do interviews. I am so excited. There's a show called, I'm a monster. It's something with Sam Jones. Sam Jones is the interviewer, and he gets a lot of guests that don't usually speak as candidly as they do. It's a show in black and white. He's a photographer, so he's really comfortable with these actors. They've worked together before, and then he turned into a talk show host. He's where I focus when I look at circuits of late night content. He's incredible, and I love his work. Sam Jones is a genius. I think Letterman is doing something very much akin to that, meets comedians in cars getting coffee with his show, and it's impressive. So I want to see long-form talks with Downey Jr. I want to see long-form talks with Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, his most recent comedy special, if you can even call it that, it's like performance art meets beat poetry meets a sit-down heartbreak of emotional revelation. The whole conversation about George Floyd through his lens was so much more powerful than a lot of other people speaking to it. He used all of his skills as an entertainer and as a stand-up and as a thinker and as an observer to give us this narrative that was beautiful. I want to see more of that. So I'm really excited for Dave Chappelle long form, especially with David Letterman, especially in this kind of format. I'm stoked. So those two, I'm already in for the season. It drops on October 21st on Netflix. One of the Kardashians is also on this season. I don't know. I can't tell them apart. I'm not sure which one. One of the Kardashians is also on this season, and Lizzo. Musical artist Lizzo is also appearing on the season. So it's a good stacked lineup for this new season, October 21st. Very, very excited for that. All right, let me check over on Streamlabs and get a little bit more water and then see how the chat is doing. It is a little cooler this week, but still way too hot. But the sound of the AC over the microphone, no bueno. Cannot hang. All right, we got another one from... Oh, okay, I covered Vanko. Good. Vanko was the last one. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Important stuff. All right. Off Camera with Sam Jones. Thank you very much, Stormy Woods. It is amongst my favorite bits of entertainment, hard stop. I actually subscribed to it for a bit. It is quality. He does such good work. Thank you. Off Camera with Sam Jones. Much appreciated. Oh, and Sahil was also there. I appreciate you, good sir. I always forget. People quite make a great Batman. I don't know if I could scowl that long. Actually, you know what? Tell you what, if Trump wins again, I will be scowling for 4 years straight and maybe leaving this country. So maybe I would be good at Batman now. I said no politics, and I broke my own fucking rule. Going back. Okay, that's true. I do that well. Okay, more news coming at you. Dazed and Confused is getting a table read on October 11th with almost the entire cast coming back. We're talking Affleck, we're talking McConaughey, we're talking Jason London, who I haven't seen anything in years. all for charity. I love this new wave of table reads for charity because we're getting these nostalgic throwbacks without it feeling like pandering. And we're getting to see people not on while still being on. It's really cool to see people just as people interacting and also performing. I love actors' work. I love the methodology. I love to see all the process. And these table reads have a bit of that and nostalgia. So it's my exact shit. They're doing one on October 11th for the March for Science and for the Voto Latino Foundation. Now, this is in an effort to raise voter awareness for Texas. It looks like this is news. It's not me talking politics. It looks like for the first time in a long time, Texas might go blue this year. So they're trying to get more registered voters in Texas. They're using Dazed and Confused table read to bring awareness and raise funds for registration and for awareness and trying to get Texas to go blue. This is a lot of things that I hold near and dear to my heart, so I'm going to bring some notice to it. This is October 11th, Dazed and Confused table read, a brilliant film, holds up very well. I love the fuck out of Linklater. I love this whole cast. I love this movie. I love this cause. Check it out. Support it if you can. October 11th, Dazed and Confused table read. It's going to be online, so just find that on October 11th. That is in 5 days if you're watching this live. Over in the world of insane, what could have been the New Mutants, which is one of the only things I've seen this year new. I went to a drive-in. I enjoyed it a lot more than most. It was a fun time. It was originally supposed to be a trilogy. I don't know if that's common knowledge. I think it is. They were going to do a New Mutants trilogy. The first one was going to be a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, kind of like self-contained horror movie. The second one was going to be a more sci-fi, intense alien invasion with the fucking Brood. That would have been awesome. And then the third one was going to be a demonic possession, hellfire, insanity, because you've got the incredible Anya Taylor-Joy as Magic, and that just, obviously, that's the character. So you would have had 3 very different genres of horror film in one trilogy with complete characters evolving in their characterization. It was a great opportunity. I was very excited. With the sci-fi elements of the sequel of New Mutants, they were going to introduce Warlock, which is an essential New Mutant. He didn't make the cut in the first one for budgetary reasons and because I think narratively it makes way more sense for the sci-fi one, but he was going to be played by Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen as Warlock in a Brood X-Men movie. It's still my heart. This might still happen one day over at Disney. We might still get the Brood, but it'll be down the line because you don't start with the Brood. I think a Brood movie would be a great way to start a trilogy towards the Phoenix Saga. I think they go to space. You have a full-on space film. The Phoenix seed gets planted. You have a love story between Jean and Scott get to grow for 3 movies, and then in the 3rd or 4th movie, have a Jean movie, have a Phoenix movie. You need to have Jean for at least 4 movies, preferably a solo film. Scott for at least 4 movies, also preferably a solo film. You need to care about all these fuckers. Anyway, the Brood were almost here in New Mutants. That would have been so dope. And this week they released an official previs of what Warlock would look like. It is bitchin'. Look it up on Instagram. The production designer that was responsible for some of the concept art posted it. It's awesome. It looks like Warlock. It looks like a movie version of Warlock. We were that close. Sacha Baron Cohen as Warlock is one of the great losses that we don't get when the X-Men movies are getting rebooted, but we got close. Speaking of insane choices, Tom Cruise was seen. I'm not posting it because I don't like paparazzi stuff. Someone just came across Tom Cruise with Chris McQuarrie filming, and they're all like chilling on the top of a bullet train that's just cruising along. The stunts in Mission Impossible 7 and 8 are going to be absolutely insane. I'm so excited. And I love that you just stumble across stuff like that because people are just driving like, oh, there's a train on Tom Cruise. So there's footage of one of the stunts bouncing around the internet. I just want to raise awareness to Tom Cruise's craziness. I always like talking about his stunts. This is going to be insane. I can't wait for the next 2 Mission Impossibles, and I love Chris McQuarrie. Very excited he's on board for both. We've talked about the Free Guy trailer a number of times in reference to it still coming out in December. If you haven't seen the new trailer, one just dropped this week. Free Guy looks very funny. It is a team up from the one of the showrunners of Stranger Things, who's also responsible for a ton of your favorite movies, including Real Steel. Real Steel is fantastic. And he's teaming up again with Ryan Reynolds. It looks really funny. This trailer's got some Taika Waititi, a little bit more story. Doesn't reveal too much, but you get a more scope of the world, and it looks really fucking funny. I'm very excited for Free Guy, and I'm hoping if it's safe in December, we'll get to see it. And I'm hoping if it is safe, I'll get to rent a theater with some of my friends and see it that way. But either way, I am very, very excited for Free Guy. Check out the trailer if you haven't already. All right, and also, before I jump into the poll and wrap this show up, check out Collider.com for a new article from me. I don't know if you guys are watching The Boys, but the most recent episode of The Boys that dropped on Friday is one of the craziest hours of television to date. It's The Boys at an 11, and the show's always at an 11, but it's The Boys at 12, because it's always at 11. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. The Boys is such a good show. It's a great adaptation of a brilliant comic book, and this episode was absolutely insane. And I've had to keep a lid on it for a year, because I saw this episode being filmed last October. I went to Toronto last October, and I couldn't talk about it. Amazon is very, very, very tight-lipped, much like Marvel is, where you can't even say you're there. So I couldn't even reveal what I was doing in Toronto. But I was on the set of The Boys. So I was hanging out with the cast. I was watching stunts. I got to see... What can I say without revealing it if you haven't watched it? I got to see the end of the character's arc that happened in this most recent episode. I was there for that actual stunt, which was absolutely insane. I got to meet all these people. I got to hang out with Shawn Ashmore, who I've been a fan of since Iceman in 2000. Actually, I've been a fan of him since Animorphs, which was before, and we talked about Animorphs, and he thought it was funny that I thought it was a cultural landmark, and he had not thought of Animorphs in some time, but I think about Animorphs. Anyway, it was a really good time. The cast is all great. They're a pleasure to talk to. They're super kind. That show is a love letter to comic books. The production offices were covered in Derek Robertson art, actual Derek Robertson art, like the mail room would say mail room in The Boys font, and then it'd be pictures of Derek Robertson's like covers of stuff. Like the entire production offices were Derek Robertson art. It was gorgeous to see, and the set felt like you walked onto the set of one of his drawings. It was a very immersive experience. I was super, super impressed overall with everything. The actors really know and love their characters. They're all so intelligent. The article I ran at Collider was originally 4 times as long. We had to cut it way down. I wrote way too much because I love this cast. The quotes, they're so well spoken and so verbose and so enthusiastic. Laz Alonso is Mother's Milk in a way that you are unprepared for when you meet him. Frenchie, man, Tomer Capone is a goddamn genius. The way he looks at the world is fantastic, and we have the same musical taste. Just the cast is genius, and they're so invested. I had a lot of fun talking to them. Jack Quaid is Huey in so many ways and is such a nice guy, so charming. Erin Moriarty's gotten to work on a bunch of movies that are indies that a lot of people haven't seen, so we got to talk with her about some of those. All in all, great experience, great trip. Amazon was fantastic to us. Thank you to Amazon. Thank you to The Boys. It was a real good time, and I missed my buddy Derek, the artist of The Boys, by like 12 hours. He was there the day before me. But yeah, it was a really cool experience. So if you want to check that out, collider.com. Check out the 7 things we learned on the set by this guy of The Boys Season 2. It is a really fun article that I had a great time doing. So check it out over on Collider. I really dug it. And just last year, there were sets, there were visits, and there were set visits. So it was really interesting writing that now, going like, I was around so many people and on a plane and in Toronto. It was like a flashback to another life, because what a difference a year makes. 1 year ago, I was in Toronto. So check it out, collider.com. All right. We got a Streamlab from Jesus, turning 22 in 5 days. Any advice? Also, the major Marvel's Avengers updates in a couple of weeks. What are the comic pulls this week? Okay, we're doing comic pulls right after we wish you a happy birthday, good sir. Happy birthday in 5 days. 22. Okay, 22 was pretty big for me because I abused 21 with the booze, because I was like, yo, I can finally drink legally, and I've been doing it illegally for a long time. And I was very entitled to my walk into liquor store or gas station or bar. And then 22, I was like, whoa, if I keep up like this, I will never make it anywhere in my life. So I slowed the fuck down. Advice for a 22-year-old. Use the ability to bounce back to your advantage, because 22, you're fucking smart enough to handle the world, but free enough to work out 7 days a week and not be dead, or to drink 2 nights in a row within reason and bounce back and get your shit done. Like, your body it rejuvenates like Wolverine, but you're not yet overburdened with responsibility. Everything after 25, depending on your life circumstance, just gets heavy with work and life and bullshit. It gets a lot more. At 22, you're in the sweet spot of youth, but maturity. So embrace that youthful maturity. Have fun. Appreciate everything you have. It really does accelerate, man. If you think about it, every single year we're alive is a year shorter of what our perspective is. Like, remember when you're in school and summer feels like forever in elementary school, because you'd only lived 6 years, say, so you'd only had 6 summers. So a summer is 1/18 of your entire existence, a quarter of the year times 6, 1/24 of your entire existence, right? So a 24th of your worldview is one summer. But by the time you're in high school, a summer feels so much shorter because say you're 18, a summer is 1/72nd of your worldview. So a 70 seconds is suddenly so much shorter. And now in your 30s, summer is 30 times 4 is 180, no, 120, 120th of your experience. So a summer flies by so much faster every single year because your worldview grows, so your perspective on time is shorter, and it fucks you up. So appreciate time moving slower at 22 because it'll be even faster at 23, 24, 25. And enjoy your body bouncing back because it slows the fuck down. And happy birthday. Have a bitchin' good time. Birthdays in quarantine are hard, but if you have amazing friends and family like I'm lucky to, it was as good as it could have been. My mom sent me a care package with snacks for my friends. If you hang out with your friends, get tested, and then like quarantine, like do it smart. There are ways to have fun on your birthday even during all this. So embrace your youth, young Padawan, and enjoy the fuck out of it. Happy birthday. Let me give you the poll list you so requested very earnestly as we were talking about your birthday. And I'm very excited for that Marvel update because I'm loving the hell out of the game, and I'm excited for even more goodness. Okay. Comic book recommendations for tomorrow, October 7th, 2020. I recommend you pick up, dear viewer, Adventure Man, number 4. Love this new series. Amazing Spider-Man, number 49, which is also Amazing Spider-Man, number 850. Big ol' anniversary issue. Lots of stuff coming to fruition. American Vampire, 1976, number 1, a new title from Scott Snyder. Batman, number 100. I've actually read this one. It's glorious. It is a culmination of a lot of war, Joker war stuff, and it's a big ol' issue. It's a good time. Black Widow, number 2. Champions, number 1. New Champions run. And Black Widow, number 2, if it's anything like the first issue. Coffin Down, number 7. Weird indie title I'm loving. Deceased Dead Planet, number 4. If you're a Mr. Miracle fan, which is why this is here today, because I got new art, and I've got to hang both these pieces, but I need more pieces for it. I've got a ton of art I want, but can't afford it all yet, so this wall is blank because I want to have it all first so I can map it properly. So in the meantime, art's going to go right here while I film. So Mr. Miracle is a spotlight of Deceased Dead Planet, number 4, and I love the character, so it is a damn good time for a Mr. Miracle fan. Decorum, number 5. Deadpool, number 7. Far Sector, number 8. Firepower, number 4. Firepower is my new favorite ongoing of 2020. My favorite mini is, of course, Strange Adventures. My favorite new ongoing, I believe, is Firepower. It's incredible. Magnificent Miss Marvel, number 15. If you're playing the game Avengers, you know how great Miss Marvel is. Check out her title, Magnificent Miss Marvel. Marauders, number 13. The Continued Adventures of Kate Pryde. Probably my second favorite post-Hoxbox title. Marvel Snapshot Spider-Man, a one-off, just a single Spider-Man issue. If you want to just pick up a Spidey book, Marvel Snapshot is a damn good pick for a one-off. Miles Morales Spider-Man, number 19. If you like Miles Morales, this run is, I think, as good or better than Bendis' stuff. Mr. Miracle, the reason actually this is here, not just the issue number 4, but the actual reason is this guy's favorite run of mine, Tom King, Mitch Gerard's Mr. Miracle, is getting an Ultimate Edition hardcover tomorrow. A beautiful, reprinted, glorious edition hardcover of this run right here where this art is from. It is one of my favorite comics of all time, and it's getting a deluxe edition, Ultimate Edition hardcover. If you've never read Mr. Miracle, pick up the new hardcover. It is genius, and tell Tom King and Mitch Gerard's I sent you, because they're great dudes, and they need to know their work is loved. Well, they already know, but they need to know more. Tell comic creators you love their work, because that's why they do it. It's not why they do it, but they need to know. Speaking of loving their work, Donny Cates' Thor is incredible, and it has an issue number 8 on the shelves tomorrow. Nick Klein is drawing the hell out of it. Donnie's writing the hell out of it. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 2. Weird new sci-fi space epic from James Tynion IV, who is writing the hell out of everything. Wolverine, number 6. X-Force, number 13. And Young Justice, number 19. A lot of good books this week. Big old week. Those are all the ones I'm going to be checking out. And then on Friday's show, I'll tell you my top 9. So that's like probably about 20 books. I'll tell you my top 9 on Friday if you are so interested in my takes on those very particular books. I'm going to check on the chat, and then I'll give you guys my streaming recommendations, and then we're going to wrap this baby out. We're going to hit probably about an hour, even though I keep trying to keep this under an hour. Some weeks there's just too much hype. All right, I got that covered, and let me check on the chat. Oh, Mayday, I got too hype. There we go. Let's see. I think Thor is going on my pull list too. I need to start using pull list, dude. I highly, highly recommend you check out that book. Yes. Let's see. People are talking about birthdays and turning 22. Yes. You guys do need to watch The Boys. Very, very important smack talk. You'll love it, man. It's so freaking good. happy birthdays all around make me very happy. Darkside, in fact, is some Okie dude. I assume you're from Oklahoma or you just like feeling okay. Let's see. Speaking of birthdays, I loved it in the latest Fat Man Beyond. Kevin Smith mentioned Coy's birthday movie theater rental. Yes. Kevin had to get to Jersey the next day, but I was very excited I was honored. It was really cool. I was actually in the chat watching Fat Man Beyond just before, and then I went out to go get a taco, and then I came back. People were like, "You talking about your birthday?" And I was like, the amount of respect, reverence, and love I have for Kevin Smith cannot be overstated. The dude, he's my Richard Linklater. Like, the reason I felt like I could talk about comics for a living was Kevin, and now that we know each other, now that I know him, is so rad. Work hard, it's worth it. Also, birthday advice for turning 22: work hard, it's worth it. You won't remember necessarily the weird shit you bought when you're a kid, but if you save money, you'll appreciate having it for later. So, like I say, have fun, live, but also remember to save your fucking rupees. It's worth it long run. And so live, but balance that shit and work your ass off, because it's always going to be worth it when you can land somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Let me give you some streaming recommendations. I recommend on streaming on Netflix this week, we get The Cabin with Bert Kreischer, a new comedy special from the great Bert Kreischer, who is a fantastic stand-up, is dropping on the 13th. Moneyball, an Aaron Sorkin joint, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, fantastic film, is coming to Netflix on the 14th. Over on Hulu, as of yesterday, Dragon Ball Super, all episodes 1 through 131 are dubbed. I talked about this on last week's show. I don't care. I'm excited. I'm going to talk about it, hopefully, until I see it. Dragon Ball Super, 131 episodes dubbed on Hulu. I'm excited as hell. Hopefully by 2027, I get to watch them. Scream 4 coming at you on the 8th, as well as Terminator Dark Fate on the 9th. Terminator Dark Fate is my headcanon Terminator 3. It's the first one I've really liked since T2. It's still not perfect, but it's better than a lot of the other ones. So Terminator Dark Fate, worth seeing, which is the most I can say about Terminator since the 90s, is dropping on Hulu. Amazon is also getting Terminator Dark Fate on the 9th if you don't have Hulu. Disney Plus is getting The Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader on the 9th, which is the only of those Narnia movies I haven't seen, so I wrote it down for me. I'm excited. And then on HBO Max, say you want a horrific nightmare of an experience one night, you can watch Cats. Cats is coming on October 11th. I haven't seen it yet, but I am haunted by the trailers, so I don't know if I will, but I have the option on HBO Max as of the 11th. All right, we're going to wrap this baby up. Okay, everyone is getting their Rex, and that makes me very excited. Get Thor, get Venom, get Downey Kate stuff. Kevin drinking on his show is a good time. I agree, live chat. All right, I believe that is going to be the episode today, guys. I once again want to thank so many Ride or Die Koi Ponders in the chat. Thank you as ever to being the only, and I'm going to say this at the end of the episode because I'm going to close out and there won't be an opportunity for a troll, the only live stream I don't feel like I have to worry about trolls in. I've only had to mute a couple people, and I've only had to block a few people, and that is incredible considering we're talking about comic books and nerd culture on the internet. So the incredible vibes culminated by the Koi Pond make me so incredibly happy. The fact that my mom's in the live chat most weeks, one, just makes me happy because it's good to see my mom, but also the fact that I don't have to worry about people being a dick to my mother because my mom's the fucking best. So thank you very much, Koi Pond. Thank you to my mom. Thank you for being here. And thank you, as ever, to comic books for existing. I appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you. And happy birthday to Jesus in 5 days on the 11th, October 11th. Happy birthday. On the day you were born, you turned twice the age of that number. That's very exciting. 11/22, birthday. Thank you to Jesus, Banco, Jesus again, The Great Smack Talk, and Michael McCarcel, patron saint of awesome, for being Streamlabians. I don't know what that word is, but thanks for the Streamlabs. You guys keep me going. I very much appreciate it. I've tried to wrap this 3 times, but I don't want to leave. But I got to go because the algorithm. This goes over an hour. I'm fucked. Nobody sees it. So I'm going to wrap up. All right. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you on Friday. This Friday, we're going to talk about all the news that's coming up and then reflect on the best comics. And this week, I'm going to be reviewing I'm thinking of ending things for AJ Lancaster. AJ Lancaster is one of the patrons that tells me things they want me to review and check out. And this week I'm thinking of ending things, the new Netflix film from Charlie Kaufman. So expect that between now and Friday. And then on Friday, you're getting 2 episodes of Koi goodness. You're getting a Koi cubed at 4, and then at night, if all goes well, we are going to be doing comic books and craft beer. We're going to be drinking Dragon's Milk, and we're going to be talking Saga. We're probably going to be drinking cold brew Jameson because I love it and I just discovered it. So expect a very saucy, very Saga-filled episode Friday night. If you don't have Friday night plans, now you do. Comic books, craft beer, Saga, Friday after Koi Cubed. We'll see you Friday. All right, have a good week, guys.